What up, friends? Thanks for watching my YouTube channel or my IGTV or whatever you're watching. If you happen to be new to me, I'm Robin Black. I'm a martial arts analyst. I took my first fight 12 or 13 years ago, my last about 7 years ago, and I've been analyzing martial arts full-time ever since. Spent my whole life studying it. It's what I love to do. Generally these days I do breakdowns, 1 to 5 minute breakdowns, analyzing the details of fights, and then I look for philosophical lessons that we can learn about life. In this video I want to look at Logan Paul getting binked by Paulo Costa and look at, is that a real knockout, is that a real bink? And more importantly for me, this is often what I'm interested in. I want to show you kind of the process of how to look for truth in something like this. Looking for truth is a little more complicated than it seems sometimes. So let's look at this video. First of all, before we dig into it, I'm going to show you a shot over my shoulder where I'm going to show you a little bit of moving, slow motion, zooming so we can actually take a look at this. But first I want to get into briefly what actually sort of the truth is. I think we know what the truth is. The truth doesn't care about our opinion. It is simply the truth. It is what is. And that's kind of what we're looking for when we're looking to authenticate something. We have to be free of bias, judgment, and honestly opinion. We have to be free of opinion as best we can. And we form opinions often because of how we feel towards something. So we want something to be real. We'll be predisposed to thinking it may be real. And we dislike something. We want it to be unreal for some reason. We will look for reasons to show that. The truth is much harder to find these days than one would think it should be. And that's true in news, that's true in politics, that's true in entertainment, of course, fighting and football and whatever you want to study. That's a scary thing. That's why I want to show you kind of the process of looking for it. So quickly, what is it to develop expertise? Expertise is a real thing. And when you don't have it, or when you're only in the early stages of developing it, it's also, I'm sorry when I say don't have it. It's not binary. You're not either an expert or not an expert. It's all gradient. You will never know everything because there will be a deeper understanding and connection to the universe as you learn about life more. You think you know everything about baseball, your understanding of the world changes and you discover you don't understand everything about baseball. Your ability to comprehend how people think or act or how the body works, or you have a change in our understanding of physics itself, anything will change your ability to really say that you know everything. In fact, you will never know everything. So it is not 0 or 1, it is a gradient. And expertise in anything is developed over time. Like all skills, skill development happens by repetition. Hard work, repetition, searching to be pushed to your limits, failing or making an error, getting expert feedback, improving and carrying on. So it's a real thing. Expertise is a real thing. And the more expertise you develop, the trickier sometimes it is because we have knee-jerk reactions to almost everything. And that's a lot easier than actually studying in a lot of cases. So expertise is real. And how do we authenticate something? Well, to authenticate something, let's take the Logan Paul getting binked by Paulo Costa. Now, you see a punch, you see it seem to land, you see a man fall down. Now, on the surface, that's a guy getting knocked out. If you dislike one or the other, or you don't like the story for some reason, you will look for reasons that may not be true. The truth will lie in our ability to find contact, and then to extrapolate real contact from unreal contact, all of which is actually a skill, all of which is a form of expertise that happens over time. So this one is tricky. It really is much trickier than you might believe. So first of all, when we're looking for truth in something like this, we must get rid of, like I said, bias. But not only that, you have to get rid of your idea of meaning in certain things. We will often say, well, this football happened this way because it will be better for the team if X, Y, Z. All of that is projection. What you'll see in these cases, we're like, well, this guy's looking for clicks. I think he's fake because he's a jerk. All of that is us projecting what we think we know. We know very little about him. No matter how much you've watched this video, because it's been presented in a certain way, you don't know if he's a good or a bad person based on a video he made years ago that was ill-advised, or something funny he did, or you like him. You know nothing about him. except for what he wants you to think. So any projection that you have about why he may do a certain thing or why somebody in a situation like this, and that goes for Biden or Trump or whoever you do or do not like, you do not know these people. Your projections about their intent is based entirely on the information you've gathered, which is very, very limited in the grand scheme of real things. So you have to reject all of that. When you think something is fake and this fight was set up, well, obviously it was set up because, the UFC or Canelo wants a rematch or whatever. Trump, Biden, insert politician here. I like to avoid that shit as much as possible because people get emotional. All of that, again, you don't know these people. You don't know their intent. You don't know the layers behind what other intents are there, what other meaning is there. So all of that you have to reject. And then you move on to the actual footage. Now, there's going to be a couple of things. Like I said, we're going to show look over my shoulder, and I'm going to show you what I have and different ways I can zoom into things. We're going to look for the footage. We're going to look for the punch. Again, I will show you the way he behaves when he falls, and I'll show you the way the people behave when he falls. That could have meaning, but again, we have seen, if you say, well, this fall looks unrealistic, or he didn't fall the way people fall when they're knocked out, watch thousands of fights. You will see thousands of different falls and thousands of different reactions to punches, many of which look bizarre and feel unreal, and they're very real. So that's difficult to accept as any type of, or use in any way free of your bias. And then the way people react. We're going to look at that. It seems suspect in this case to me, but I don't know these people. They may react in certain ways to make somebody feel better. They might do it because they know they're being filmed. There's all kinds of reasons people behave, and we don't get to extrapolate meaning from it in only moments because that's based on our life experience, not theirs, right? So all of these things you kind of have to reject, although at the same time, over time, as you gain different amounts of expertise, thousands of hours may give you value. Tens of thousands of hours may give you value. If you could achieve 100,000 hours, I don't know if that's mathematically possible in your lifetime. Of course, you would see it again differently based on all of that information. That's what all that is. Sometimes you put it all together, and it is rare to fall a particular way. It's also rare to behave a particular way. Mathematically, that gets a little odd. But again, mathematically speaking, all these things are possible. So we have to go down to the footage itself. Even that. We see people get hit. Sometimes they are hurt. Sometimes they are not. Right? So all of that has to be drawn in when attempting to authenticate something. And again, authenticating things is actually not my expertise or purpose. I analyze martial arts to find revealing and interesting moments, to enrich the experience for the viewer, to learn about martial arts myself, and to draw analogies and philosophies from it so that we can learn lessons that might be valuable to our lives. That's what I like to do when I watch fights for tens of thousands of hours in my lifetime. I've commentated, just before we look at it, 550 shows. It's 5,500 fights. I've broken down and done videos of 1,500 moments over the past couple of years. So this is what I do, and the more you do it, the more difficult it actually becomes to speak with certainty in all areas of expertise. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I find that fascinating. What actually happens, you look at something, if you don't know much, you say, well, I can see this, that's obvious. It's obvious that this politician is lying, or it's obvious this guy was knocked out or was not knocked out. It's actually not obvious. And the more information you gain, the more variables are in play. And it actually becomes even more difficult with all the knowledge to really authenticate particular things, which is why most people's opinion, including your own opinion, it's really valuable to reject your own opinion as strongly as possible so you can continue to look. So having said all that and muddied it up, the reality is that's the muddiness of reality. So I'm going to do a quick edit here, and then we'll look over my shoulder, and I'll show you what we got. Hang tight. Okay, so you can use any kind of, this is a golf app. There's a million different apps you can use to slow things down and zoom in. So I want to look at a couple of things here. First, we'll run it through and just watch the behavior. I know this isn't the key judgment point, but watch the behavior of the team and of him after. So this will be a little loud. So there's the fighting, and then you'll see the big one, right? Bink, right there. Now, that fall is pretty real. And watch these guys. I'll turn it up a little bit.
How'd I do? You were great, man. I did good? You're great, man. You won. Kidding me. You won. You won. Oh, yeah, guys, make sure
And he ends with, make sure to like and subscribe. Now that all feels a little performery, but again, you can't imply that something's real because the team behaved that way. They're being filmed. They don't know them. They might be nervous. But you can take those things into account. But what we're really looking at is the footage itself and the punch. Okay, so let's roll on that. So he'll touch the glove, then he'll touch the chin. You can see very clearly the second jab. That jab's there. That jab does touch. Now watch the right hand and watch his chin. Bing, right there. Okay, again, looks real to a certain degree. If you don't want it to be real, looks very fake. But what we're watching for now, when that punch comes over, we're watching the position of the hand in conjunction to the shoulder and in conjunction to the chin. Bearing in mind, if you take everything into account, that the face mask actually comes out a number of inches. So now we'll go slowly. Actually, I have it in slow motion. So let's watch it one more time in super slow motion. So again, touch the chin. You'll see that the head does bob just right there. That's a real touch. And now watch the super slow motion. Watch the chin. Watch the red right there. Okay, again, it's now getting in slow motion. It's looking a little more dicey, but it is still difficult to really be able to determine. Now, a couple more things. That angle is the angle you'd use if you did want it to be faked, right? Because this angle over the shoulder, you never get to pause and see whether or not it actually makes contact because of the direction and how it's moving. So that, again, could be a coincidence. It's possible that angle just happened to be the angle they were shooting at. There was angles of the reverse suggesting maybe that was a corner cam that happened to be there, right? But so now one more time, and this will be the key for me, is we'll go in and we'll look at that super slow motion one more time. Let me find it. There it is, there it is, there it is. And right here, yeah, okay. So a couple of things to look at. The shoulder, right here. The shoulder. If he made contact with the shoulder will definitely move. If he makes contact with the head will move. And now watch the direction. If we pause it right here, that hand is in front of the shoulder. You can clearly see hand, shoulders in the back. Now when we go to the next shot, the hand is past the shoulder, okay? See right here, it's past the shoulder. The key for me that makes it an incredible fake, if it is a fake, and it very well may be a fake, is how the head moves. Even he doesn't appear to actually make contact with the shoulder, which is what on first glance and, you know, just the uninformed, hey, you look at it, I don't like this guy, it looks fake, looks like he's hitting the shoulder. It actually doesn't appear to really make contact. Front of the shoulder, behind the shoulder. Front of the shoulder, behind the shoulder. Front of the shoulder. And when I say behind, I mean deeper. Deeper inside to where the chest is, right? So, again, one more time. This is in our foreground of the shoulder. This is in the background past the shoulder. What is impressive in either a fluke or an incredibly good stunt is watch the head. The head moves exactly at that moment. The head moves exactly at that moment. That's what actually makes it very difficult to authentically say this is a fake. Does it touch? Again, the angle makes it impossible to say. Right there, from in front to there. That fact that the head moves, now you might think that it's going past, but again, there are inches of padding. That's a full helmet. The helmet comes out here, and then even thicker, the helmet comes out an inch or two, and then an even thicker inch or two over the top. And if it made contact with the helmet, the coup contra coup injury happens when the head is jarred and the brain touches both sides of the skull. So we have front of the shoulder, behind the shoulder, with the head moving. Very impressive. So what's my determination? To be honest, fully informed, analyzing with the best technology. Oh, one more thing. We can do this. We'll lose resolution, but we can even look even a little bit deeper. Watch it again. That hand is in foreground. That is in the background, and the head moves. Does it touch the chin? That angle makes it impossible to see, but the head moves. Again, unknown, undecided, difficult to say. Now, if it's a fake, and it very well might be, why would that be so impressive? The head moving either happens because he's an incredible stuntman. It would take dozens of shots by a pro stuntman to land that perfectly. Or it's a total fluke. The head happens to move, or it makes some contact with the shoulder that we can't see. When you add all of the other elements, the weird reaction after, the YouTuber-like response, the way that the the corners perform like they're acting, and they're not pro actors, you get a much more likely scenario that this was fake. But to be honest, it's very difficult to say. So let's go back to our front shot. All right, so is it fake? I mean, again, that isn't my area of expertise. I don't determine real and fake. I analyze moments. That moment looks fairly real, but when you, especially that head moving it again, that can be an incredibly talented stuntman who has skills that we don't even know, or it could be a fluke. Could accidentally jar at exactly that moment in a way that makes it seem real. This is the dicey element of discerning real from reality. It's something that matters everywhere. What I think is really important, if you're really, really trying to determine truth, in this case, or in other cases, and of course there's a lot more important things in the world going on where the truth is important, is you try not to have a predisposed idea, one way or the other, of what you think it is. You try to look for all the information, and you try to remember, you know very little. Most of us know very little. Just because we watch the news a lot doesn't mean we know anything about politics. That's the truth. We just know what they tell us. Just because we watch fighting a lot doesn't mean we really know that much. Whatever you know after decades of learning, think about it this way. If you were fortunate enough to study and learn for decades more, you would laugh at your level of knowledge now. That's how knowledge is attained, and that's how it continues to evolve and be attained. What did we decide here? When we take in all of the information, it's dubious. But it's interesting. So when I did the breakdown, knowing that it was dubious, but knowing that although even some experts have said, no, that's fake. We've looked at it in slow motion, that's fake. Now again, there may be other angles. That's the angle I have. Show me another one. I might see this thing literally go right by, and then it becomes much more definitive. But with what we have, it's dubious. So when I did my breakdown, and you can see the breakdown of this, and you can see the breakdown of Logan Paul's grappling and wrestling, which is very impressive, to be honest. On my Instagram, it's @RobinBlackMartialArts, or on my Twitter, @RobinBlackMMA. If you want a t-shirt that says Bink, that's my shit, or enjoy the hostilities, it's at shoprobinblack.com. Thanks for hanging with me. This has been really cool. Again, my interest is in showing you the process. Is this punch fake? Maybe. I mean, there's a pretty good chance it is. Does that matter? Not really. Not really, for all intents and purposes. But the value I find in it is going through the process of figuring out how to discern reality. The truth is what is. And that is when we're looking at analysis, and this does apply to me, and this does apply to my job, and it should apply to all of us. My job is to try to find what is. Your job should be to try to find what is as well. What is reality, truth, does not care about your opinion. It does not care about the fact that you have tension accepting the truth. The truth is the truth is the truth. Sometimes we can't tell it. But it was fun watching this guy do his thing. And let me finish with this on Logan Paul. I know maybe a lot of you came here to find out about my thoughts on Logan Paul. Impressive athlete. People, when I posted his wrestling, I said, pro boxer Logan Paul, and people said, bro, that guy's not a pro boxer. By definition, if you had a professional boxing match, you are a pro boxer. And factually speaking, this is a great athlete. I'd like to see him have his mixed martial arts fighter too. And the last thought on that is some people said, well, he doesn't deserve to be whatever. He earned everything he got. It's not easy to become a famous YouTuber. That takes an incredible amount of learning and evolution and development and skill development, all of which applies to learning martial arts and vice versa. Study martial arts, study it deep enough and long enough, and the lessons you learn will apply to all things in life. I rambled on long enough, but that's what I do. Thanks for watching. Much love, and enjoy the hostilities, my friends. Black out.